If you take people like Jay-Z and Pusha T, they made their living killing our people. So how the fuck they gonna stand up for our people? You know what I'm saying? But we forget that because we love Jay-Z's music so much. We love Pusha's music so much, right? But you think they would ever, Beyonce had the best fit for somebody else? Yeah. You know what I'm saying? You think they would ever tell the truth? No, if they told the truth about anything, they'd go to jail. You know what I'm saying? So you have liars. Man. Liars are now the face of our culture.
At what point do we start believing that Jay-Z is guilty of all the crimes they say he is? Like, this man has literally been accused at 100 crimes this year. And every single time y'all said, no, they just trying to take a well-to-do black man down. They just trying to tarnish his name. Well, folks, I think we've hit the end of the road. Because this man is named in official FBI documents. You can't glaze over this one. You can't say somebody money hungry. You can't say somebody out to just take him of all his wealth and status. I've been asking for the names on them Epstein files. Now you got them. Why are y'all quiet?
The moment the DOJ cracked open the Epstein vault, everything spiraled. Millions of pages, hidden files, names people swore would never surface. And within hours, the internet wasn't whispering anymore. It was screaming. All right, before we get into the details, let's rewind real quick because none of this makes sense unless you understand the backdrop of what just happened and why the internet lost its mind almost instantly. On January 30th, the Department of Justice finally cracked the vault. After years of half-truths, delays, redactions, and excuses, they dropped a massive Epstein-related release. We're talking millions of pages, thousands of images, and hours upon hours of footage. This wasn't another tease, this wasn't a carefully curated leak, and the biggest data dump tied to Epstein that the public has ever seen.
Today we are producing more than 3 million pages, including more than 2,000 videos and 180,000 images. In total, that means that the department produced approximately 3.5 million pages in compliance with the act.
And for a lot of people, the first reaction was simple. This is long overdue. For years, folks were told to be patient. Trump had promised the Epstein files would come out once he was elected.
If you were president, would you declassify, you can answer yes or no to these. Yeah. Would you declassify the 9/11 files?
Yeah.
Would you declassify JFK files?
Yeah. I did a lot of it.
Would you declassify the Epstein files?
Yeah, I would.
All right.
I guess I would. I think that less so because, you don't know it. You don't want to affect people's lives if it's phony stuff in there because there's a lot of phony stuff with that whole world. But I think I would, or at least
do you think that would restore trust? Help restore trust?
Yeah, I don't know about Epstein so much as I do the others.
Elon Musk was loud about transparency too, campaigning on the idea that sunlight was the best disinfectant.
I think part of why Kamala is getting so much support is that if Trump wins, that Epstein client list is going to become public.
Yes.
And some of those billionaires behind Kamala are terrified of that outcome.
But months turned into years and nothing happened. The silence got louder, and people started asking uncomfortable questions. Was Trump hesitating because of deeper ties to Epstein? Was stuff being quietly deleted, edited, or buried before the public ever saw it? Those questions never went away. They just sat there until January 30th. When the files finally dropped, most people expected the usual names: Bill Gates, Prince Andrew, familiar faces we'd already heard about 100 times. But buried inside the FBI's National Threat Operations Center, logs were names nobody expected to see in black and white, and one name stopped the internet cold: Jay-Z. That's when everything changed. Because Jay-Z wasn't just mentioned in passing. According to unsealed NTOC reports, a woman who contacted the FBI alleged that back in the mid-1990s, she was abducted, drugged, and woke up inside what she believed was an Epstein-owned property, and when she came to, she claimed Jay-Z was there, alongside Harvey Weinstein. Let that sit for a second. In the mid-90s, Jay-Z wasn't the billionaire power broker we know today. He was just coming up. Reasonable doubt had barely dropped. So the question everyone started asking was simple but disturbing. How does a rising rapper from Brooklyn end up in the same private space as Epstein and one of the most powerful men in Hollywood? And it didn't stop there. Another name surfaced alongside Jay's, Pusha T. According to a separate FBI tip, he wasn't just present at a party. The report described him as a handler, someone tasked with gaining trust, lowering defenses, and facilitating access. That single word changed the tone of the entire conversation. Now, to be clear, and this matters, the Department of Justice made one thing very clear. Jay-Z's name did not come from Epstein's personal black book. There were no flight logs with his name stamped across them. These allegations came from tips submitted to the FBI, unverified reports, statements that were archived, not prosecuted. Legally speaking, that does not mean guilt. But here's the part people can't ignore. Just because something hasn't been proven in court doesn't mean it's meaningless, especially when similar accusations have followed the same person for decades. And that's why this hit harder than people expected, because folks remember what happened back in 2024. Jay-Z was named in a lawsuit connected to Sean Combs, involving an alleged assault of a 13-year-old. That case eventually fell apart, but not before allegations surfaced that private investigators were used to intimidate the accuser. That story disappeared fast, but it never fully went away. So now, with Jay-Z's name appearing again, people aren't asking if this is possible anymore. They're asking how long it's been hidden. And that's where Kanye West comes back into the picture. For years, Kanye has been screaming about industry control, handlers, pawns, and gatekeepers. He named names, he pointed fingers, he talked about power structures that decide who rises and who gets destroyed. And every time he did, people brushed it off, called him unstable, said he was spiraling.
If you take people like Jay-Z and Pusha T, they made their living killing our people. So how the they gonna stand up for our people? You know what I'm saying? But we forget that because we love Jay-Z's music so much. We love Pusha's music so much, right? But you think they would ever, Beyonce had the best hit for somebody else?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? You think they would ever tell the truth? No, if they told the truth about anything, they go to jail. You know what I'm saying? So you have liars.
Man.
Liars are now the face of our culture.
But now those spirals are starting to line up. People remember Kanye calling out Jay-Z and Beyonce specifically, talking about betrayal, control, and loyalty, about what happens behind closed doors at the highest levels of the industry. At the time, it sounded personal, emotional, messy.
They can't control you, they can't. They try to suppress you, but that's how they try to categorize
They
you.
can't control me. You get what I'm saying? They can control Shaq. They can control Charles Barkley. They can control LeBron James. They can control Jay-Z and Beyonce.
No, not you, man.
But they can't control me. You
No,
see, it
you.
ain't no name I won't name.
Exactly.
It's up.
Not you.
You know what I'm saying? And just for Minister Farrakhan, I love you, but the way you read that, I took that as a slight.
But with these files out, folks are revisiting those moments with fresh eyes, because suddenly Kanye's warnings don't sound random, they sound informed. Now here's the flip side, and this is where the story gets complicated. The DOJ has been very intentional about how these files were released. By dumping NTOC logs and unverified tips, they get plausible deniability. They can say, we released everything the public submitted, that doesn't mean it's true. And technically they're right, but that strategy does something else too. It lets the public obsess over big celebrity names while the deeper players stay hidden behind redactions. It creates chaos, confusion, and debate. And while everyone argues about whether Jay-Z is guilty or innocent, the architects of Epstein's system remain untouched. Still, the damage is real. In the days following the release, Jay-Z's social footprint changed. Rumors started flying about deleted posts, about quiet PR moves, about relationships straining under the weight of public suspicion. Some even pointed out that major platforms and organizations appeared to distance themselves, unfollow, silence, and make quiet moves that spoke louder than statements. And then came the speculation no one wants to say out loud. If Jay-Z was connected to Epstein's world, where does that leave Beyonce? People started asking wild questions. Were they ever on the island together? Did they know more than they let on? Was their untouchable image carefully curated for a reason? There's no proof of any of that, but once doubt enters the room, it doesn't leave quietly.
Thought the downfall of Diddy was something. The downfall of Jay-Z is going to be something. Jay-Z is working overtime right now to make sure his empire won't crumble apart. Because we're not going to act like he wasn't named in the Epstein files. Hello? As soon as he was naming the Epstein files, they gonna take all the posts down and everything. He probably seen it and made some calls. Was like, nah, get that shit removed right now. Sending mad bread out, sending mad money out. Like, whatever is done in the dark will come to the light.
Jay-Z apparently wiped his Instagram account after being named in the files.
And the thing about Epstein's operation is this: it thrived on blackmail, on secrets, on leverage. According to internal emails released in this same dump, Epstein documented everything. He wasn't just hosting parties, he was building insurance policies, which raises another uncomfortable question. If Jay-Z is being served up now as part of this release, is he a target or a distraction? Because history shows us how this game works. When the pressure gets too high, the system sacrifices a few visible names to protect the bigger fish. You give the public someone famous to focus on and they stop digging elsewhere. That's why some people think Jay-Z and Pusha T aren't the end of the story. They're the beginning of a controlled burn. And Kanye looks less like a madman now and more like someone who saw the fire coming years ago. So where does this leave us? Legally, nothing has been proven. No charges, no convictions, just allegations, archived tips, and a mountain of circumstantial smoke. But culturally, this changes everything, because once the illusion cracks, it doesn't seal back up. And the more people revisit the past, the lawsuits, the whispers, the industry feuds, the harder it becomes to believe this is all a coincidence. The Epstein story refuses to die for a reason. Every time it resurfaces, it pulls new names into the light. And every time the question isn't just who was involved, it's who is still being protected. And trust the online community been loud. One user wrote, "It really makes me think about how hard the media went on this dude, trying to paint him out as crazy because he's exposing shit that wasn't supposed to get out ever." Another said, "I doubt Kanye West is bipolar. He's always telling the truth. Kanye always know what he's doing. People are just usually late to understand."
Ye, formerly known as Kanye West, is not implicated in any of these files. Ye is the one who is canceled. Ye is the one the media is calling evil. Ye is the one who they are demanding an apology from. Are they demanding an apology from Jay-Z? Jay-Z is now allegedly implicated in these files published by the Federal Bureau of Investigation. The FBI has now listed Jay-Z here, next to Harvey Weinstein and Jeffrey Epstein. Why is there not the same demand for Jay-Z to apologize?
So one person we call crazy, we call a lunatic, we call bipolar, we say he belongs in a mental health institute. Somehow that person is the only person we don't see in these Epstein files. We don't see with nasty allegations towards his name. Now, Jay-Z to me, and here's why I think it's cooked, okay? Even though the allegations are unsubstantiated, because these are just, tips coming through a hotline. Fortunately for Jay, the world already wants to believe these allegations. So there's nothing Jay can do to really convince people that he's not guilty. So when your name is wrapped up in these files, kiss your public reputation goodbye, man.
So now the real question isn't whether Jay-Z is innocent or guilty, it's this: if the DOJ was willing to let Jay-Z's name hit the public like this, if Kanye was right about industry pawns, if Epstein's system really did reach into music, politics, and tech, then who's next? And whose name is still buried so deep they're willing to burn billionaires to keep it hidden? Because if history tells us anything, this story doesn't end with the files, it escalates.